Are you a farmer or butcher ready to master direct-to-consumer marketing and meat success? Then you're in the right place. I'm Jared Aachen, the founder of Chop Local. Each episode of this podcast features interviews with farmers and butchers who have built successful direct-to-consumer meat businesses, and they're going to share their secrets for success with you. From actionable tips to inspiring stories, this podcast has ingredients you will need to succeed in the meat business. After the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on social. And check out the rest of our educational resources at choplocaluniversity.com. Now, let's turn it over to my business partner, Katie, to get started.
Before we get into this next episode, I wanted to let you know about one of our other resources that we offer. If you are in a hurry to see meat marketing results fast, then the Meat Commerce Essentials course is perfect for you. It covers everything that you need to know to sell meat online successfully, and it's presented in short video snippets to get you the info that you need to put into action as quickly as possible. For a limited time, we're offering our podcast listeners $100 off the course using coupon code POD100. That's POD100. Just visit choplocaluniversity.com to find the course and be sure to enter POD100 at checkout. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Meat Success Podcast. I'm Katie Olthoff, the co-founder of Chop Local and Chop Local University, and today's episode is a little bit different. Once a month, we host what we call office hours, and it is a chance for all of our Chop Local vendors, so farmers and butcher shops that are selling on the Chop Local marketplace. It's a chance for them to get on with us for some education that is really more specifically related to selling on Chop Local and how it works. This month, what we did is go through some of the data from 2025, some of the average order sizes, what we saw for repeat customers. We talked about shipping versus pickup orders and what we saw in the data there. And we also went over some ideas of how to increase your repeat customer rate, because that is a really great way for you to increase your sales without having to go out and find new customers. And so what you're going to hear today is just my presentation that I gave yesterday. I do recommend, there's a lot of numbers in this presentation, and I do show some slides. So checking it out on YouTube, if you're normally listening to just the audio, YouTube might be really helpful this time around. And I hope that these numbers are helpful for you to figure out kind of where your business is at and get you to think about how you can increase sales in 2026 by increasing your repeat customer rate and really increasing customer satisfaction. And with that, let's go ahead and get into the presentation. All right, so first office hours of 2026. Welcome to everybody who joined live. And then if you're watching this later, we're happy to go over more of this one-on-one with you if you want to set up a follow-up conversation. Also, we are recording this today because some of this data from Chop Local as a whole, we're going to be using averages from the year of 2025. And some of it I think is really interesting to benchmark your farm or your butcher shop and your online sales. So to start out with, here are some of the averages across the board for Chop Local. We took data that was available on the platform. This includes vendors who were on for the entire year, but it also includes some vendors who were only on for a couple months. You know, maybe they joined right at the end of the year, and so that means that they were only on Chop Local for a month or two. And so the data is not necessarily representing people who sold for an entire year. But what we want to look at here, we found it was really interesting to look at the average order value per customer and the average lifetime value of a customer. So the average order value means that this is the average size of an order on Chop Local. Now there's a wide range of order sizes. Some people are selling wholesale and they are selling, you know, it could be several $1,000s in one order. And we also have people who are selling quarters, halves, and wholes, and they are doing the entire, you know, I think one of them does a quarter for $1,800. And so that order value was $1,800. We also have people who have a weekly egg subscription, and someone has 2 dozen eggs every week, and that order is $8 every single week. And so it really runs the gamut. But we have enough data that we feel like this is a pretty accurate number. The average order value is $130.42 across the board. So now when I send out your individual data, or for some of you, I already have done that, you can look at that and you can say, is my average order value larger or smaller than that? And then if it's smaller than that, there might be some ways that you can increase that by encouraging people to buy more. Now, lifetime value of a customer is typically the amount that customer spends the entire time that they are a customer with you. We limited it to just the year of 2025. So if you had a customer that orders a quarter of beef annually, their lifetime value is going to show up as $1,800 because that's how much your quarter of beef is once a year. But if they order a quarter of beef annually and they do it for 10 years in a row, their full lifetime value is really $18,000. So we're using the term average customer lifetime value because lifetime value is a very commonly used term in e-commerce, but in this case, it is really only the 1 year value of that customer. So the average customer spent $231 and some change on Chop Local over the course of 2025. Then we looked at the repeat customer rate. So this is the percent of customers who order once and then come back and purchase again. Again, averaged across everybody on Chop Local, that's about 32% of customers who order once, come back and order again. Again, if you have a customer that orders a quarter of beef annually, they're not going to show up as a repeat customer in here because these are customers who ordered more than once in a year. And obviously, if they're ordering a quarter of beef, that's a valuable customer to you. But this is really measuring those people that maybe order, well, they order a $130 order and then they come back and they maybe order another $130 order or something like that. So there's 32% of them that were repeat customer that came back and ordered again. And then the repeat order rate, these are tricky and I honestly get them confused in my head sometimes. But the repeat order rate is the percent of orders that came from somebody who did order previously in that same year. So almost 50%, 46.6% of all of the orders came from someone who did order already. So that 32%, they are ordering more than twice usually, and that's where we see that repeat order rate coming back a little bit higher. So one of the takeaways here is that retaining customers, meaning you get a new customer, if you can keep them coming back, that was a really positive growth factor for the vendors that we looked at. So why repeat customers matter? Vendors with higher repeat customers consistently saw higher total sales and a 3x higher lifetime value per customer. So one-time customers, if we go back, one-time customers, their lifetime value was only that average for the year, or that average order value, which is around $123, $124. But if they ordered more than once in a year, then their lifetime value or their yearly value was $405. Okay. If you get a new customer, it is in your best interest to get them to order again and again, because that's going to help you grow your sales more easily than finding more new customers. This also led to more predictable revenue. So you know that those customers will come back and continue to help you move meat, grow your business, sell more meat. It's not included on here, but the average time between orders for those repeat customers was about 71 days. And so we'll get into recommendations for how you can increase your customer rate or increase your repeat customer rate, but keep in mind that 71-day time frame. A couple things here. We did see a couple outliers where a couple vendors had really, really high repeat customer rates, but that's because they didn't have very many new customers whatsoever. So they maybe had a handful of regular customers that were buying meat regularly from them, that were keeping their meat moving, but we weren't seeing much action as far as new customers coming in. So that makes their repeat customer rate seem really high, but it's not necessarily a healthy thing. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. The other thing we want you to look at is if your repeat customer rate is really low, it could be because of customer service issues. It could be because of product issues or quality issues. And so that's something else that we want you to really take a look at and examine. If your repeat customer rate is really low, we need to be looking at what that could signify and what the reason for that is. And you might even need to get on the phone, or we could get on the phone for you and get some feedback from those customers and find out what it is that's keeping them from coming back to purchase again. So if you're finding that your repeat customer rate is low, or if you just want to increase it, here are a few things that you can keep in mind. The people who are having the vendors who are having a higher repeat customer rate are really delighting customers with their order delivery or with their order. Some of the things we've seen are including a handwritten note, a photo from the farm. Sometimes it's little things like a meat thermometer or a magnet that has cooking temperatures or something like that. But if you can put a little something special in there, it doesn't have to cost a lot, but the handwritten note, I think they really love. That can go a long ways towards delighting your customers. The second thing is making sure that your post-order communication is on point. So when I'm talking about that, probably the biggest question that we get over the busy holiday season is, where is my meat? When is it going to ship? For some of our vendors that have, hundreds of customers in a year or thousands of customers in a year, it would be really hard to reach out to each of those customers one-on-one and keep them updated. And that's where ShipStation's automated emails can be really effective. But honestly, if you don't have a ton of customers all of the time, it should be reasonable for you to reach out to them. You can use the message center on ChopLocal and just give them an update. Thanks for your order. I'll be shipping it out on Monday. Or with the storms that we had this week, thanks for your order. I saw it. I'm going to wait for the weather to calm down a little bit, and I'm going to be shipping this on Wednesday, or I'm going to be shipping this, next week. Keeping the customers in the loop about what's going on is really, really important as part of their overall satisfaction related to their order. Then again, follow up to make sure that the order met their expectations. If you have a lot of customers, this can be done via email, automated emails. We do send out automated emails if the customer is part of our email list, but I think a special touch from the farmer or rancher or butcher goes a long way also. If you're not getting a high volume of orders, just go ahead and do it manually. Send them a message a couple weeks after they've ordered and say, did it arrive in good condition? How's it look? Thank them for their order. Ask for any feedback. That's something that we've seen some vendors do really successfully, and it has improved their repeat customer rate. And then last but not least, think about that 71-day repeat order time frame. And I would suggest, maybe once a month, you go back 2 or 3 months to the orders that you had and send them a message and say, hey, it's been a couple months since you ordered from us. I hope you were really satisfied. Wondering if you have any feedback or if there's anything else that we can send your way at this point, and see if you can encourage them to go ahead and place another order at that time. If you have a lot of customers, using an email marketing system is going to be the easiest way to do this, but using the message center on ChopLocal would be a great way to do it if you can handle the order volume there and just send them messages. Like I said, go back a couple of months, go to those orders, click on message the customer, and go ahead and send them a message to see how things are going and if they're ready to restock. Can also, when we run our sales and promotions throughout the year, you can also send a message to the customers through the message center that way too, hey, if you're ready to restock, now might be a great time because there's a Chop Local special going on that's offering, X, Y, or Z. All right, going into a little bit different data here, shipping remains the primary growth channel, okay? We have a lot of, about 50% of the orders on Chop Local are for pickup. And there's another chunk, I think it was around 13% that are for local delivery. So there is a large number of orders and quite a volume going through that are for pickup and local delivery. But what we found interestingly is that the pickup orders, the average order volume was lower for pickup orders. And for pickup customers, the lifetime value or the annual value of that customer, meaning how much they spent over the course of the year, was actually lower than shipping customers as well. So your shipping customers, the shipping orders consistently had a higher average order value, and your shipping customers also have a higher lifetime value. So that was really interesting to look at it from that perspective, but it really does seem to make a difference in total order volume for a vendor over the year if they're doing more shipping orders or not. Again, coming back to the key to getting that lifetime value is to getting them to order more than once throughout the year. So that's really important for you. Then we kind of looked at our highest performing vendors. If you are a vendor on here, we're going to email you. We've got some more averages here. Like I said, the averages cover our highest performing vendors down to what, brand new vendors that sold and had literally a couple of orders on Chop Local because they were new right at the end of the year. So really a wide range in numbers here. But when we look at our highest performing vendors, here's what we saw that they had in common. They had consistent inventory, and I would say most of them have a wide variety in inventory, meaning that they are carrying more than one type of meat. They have beef, pork, at a minimum, beef and pork, and then a lot of them have other things like lamb, chicken, turkey, things like that. They had a very clear and consistent fulfillment strategy. And so some vendors we found really struggled with getting orders shipped on time, getting them shipped effectively. Those vendors did not have a high repeat customer rate, and they did not have high sales. They weren't getting new reviews and things like that. And so having a clear, consistent, effective and efficient fulfillment strategy is really key if you want to grow the business. And I already mentioned this, they had a really strong repeat customer base as well. It's clear that what they are doing is making customers happy, and that could be their communication and their packaging and, but it could also be their actual products are high quality and desirable and keep customers coming back for more. We don't have this on the slide, but a couple other things from our high performing vendors that I can say off the top of my head. I would say most of these 5 here are using email marketing. That is something that I know our top 2 performing vendors were not always using email marketing, but they've started in the last couple of years, and it really did boost their sales consistently. The second thing, they are using social media really regularly also, and they've built up a nice following on social media. It's really easy for me to say that that's important. It's also a lot harder to make that work for individual farms. Social media has changed over the past few years and seems to be getting harder and harder to really make an impact with organic social. But we are seeing these vendors are doing a great job with it here. They're also in their social media posts, I would say it's a really good mix of behind the scenes in their farmer business, showing off the family and the team members that are part of their business, but then also showing their meat and really suggesting ways to cook their meat, showing off different products, and always including a link with a call to action that says you can order it online here. They are sending people directly to their online store in their posts so that people can order for pickup or for shipping. And just kind of a general what worked best in 2025. Like we said, your availability for shipping, having a consistent inventory. I know this sounds silly, but if you don't have inventory in stock, people can't buy it, right? And if you get limited in inventory, let's say you're down to just a few cuts, that can really limit your customers because they want to hit that free shipping threshold. And if they're looking at your availability and you only have a couple cuts that maybe aren't the most desirable for them, it's harder for them to hit that free shipping threshold and they may just wait on an order. If they wait on an order, that order may never happen. We see that the consistent marketing by vendors is really important for consistent growth. And we do, I think we've mentioned this before, but we do have an algorithm where the more that your products are purchased and the more that there is a page views on your store, the higher those products are going to bump up in the search filters. The algorithm also takes into account the reviews that you have. And so those things are really important. And then clear pickup options for your local buyers as well. So really making it convenient for people to purchase from you, whether they're ordering for shipping or if they're ordering for local pickup. We'll send you out individual data that has more marketplace averages, also includes your average order value, your repeat customer rate, things like that.
So we're going to switch gears here for a second and talk about some marketing ideas I put together as we go into February. I will preface that the monthly marketing email is going out this afternoon with all of this information as well as a little bit more. And so you'll definitely want to check that out and can reference that as well. But to start off, the Super Bowl and Valentine's Day is quickly approaching. So I know with Chop Local, we have already started creating content and promotional material centered around those two events. And so if you haven't done so already, I really strongly encourage you to start promoting meat for the Super Bowl as well as Valentine's Day. I feel like both of those events are very much revolve around food. So it just kind of feels like low-hanging fruit. So for Super Bowl, that might be promoting sausage, bacon, ground beef, ground lamb, ground pork, whatever that is. And then with Valentine's Day, maybe promoting more elevated meals. So whether that's steak, lamb chops, pork chops, that type of thing. So also keeping in mind that if you have a lot of customers where you ship meat to, with those two things quickly approaching, it's very important that your customers are making orders now. That way it gets shipped to them in plenty of time for either the Super Bowl or Valentine's Day. So definitely start creating content and promotional material for those two things now. And will also say, feel free and please share, like, comment any of the Chop Local content that we are pushing right now around Super Bowl and Valentine's Day. And on that same note, whenever you create content, please tag us and we will like, comment, share, repost, do all of the things to do as much cross-marketing promoting as we can. Also, next month is National Lamb Month. So during all of the national lamb, beef, pork, chicken months, we always have a lot of fun time highlighting those producers, those cuts, that type of thing. And so next month, we'll be putting a lot of focus around our lamb producers. This is in the marketing email that's going out, but please send all of the lamb cut content, educational content, cooking behind the scenes, and we'll be trying to push lamb as much as we can next month. Also next month is National Heart Month. So I think this gives an excellent opportunity to talk about maybe some of your leaner cuts and the nutritional component of your product. And that also could kind of maybe break up some of the more Valentine's Day, Super Bowl content. So that's an idea for you as well. Also, we're still in the middle of winter, and I feel like roast, chili, soup is still super popular right now. So definitely capitalize on that. Be promoting those cuts. Be showing those recipes on social media. Kind of on that same note, with it, did my screen just stop sharing? Okay. On that same note, I feel like, one second here. budget-friendly meals are still really popular with it being not that long after the holidays. And so really promoting restocking your freezer, cooking at home. And then if you have any ideas on budget-friendly meals or budget-friendly cuts, I feel like that's really relevant right now as well. And then finally, spring is not going to be that far away. So I always like to plan ahead, and I would encourage you to start thinking about any promotions you're going to do this spring, maybe grilling bundles, maybe taking a step back and looking at your marketing strategy and anything new you want to incorporate. Like Katie mentioned, we really recommend doing email marketing. So if that's something you want to start incorporating to build momentum as we go into the spring, I really encourage you to kind of start thinking about that, maybe updating inventory, updating prices, product photos, and all of those things are topics that Katie and I would love to help talk to you through and bounce ideas around.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Meat Success. We hope this episode gave you fresh insights and inspiration to beef up your meat marketing. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, follow us on social, and share with your fellow farmers and butchers. Have questions or ideas for future podcasts? Reach out to choplocaluniversity.com. Until next time, remember, there's more than one recipe for meat success.